Hi, my name is Ksienrzyk. I'm an editor at Gründerszene. With me is Constantin Bisanz. As Romina already said, he founded Brands for Friends. He did Aloha. A year and a half ago, you did SunshineSmile. SunshineSmile does like invisible bracelets. And you're a passionate kite surfer, which is actually you love doing extreme sports. You told me you went kiteboarding with Richard Branson from Virgin. You kited the Bering Strait between Alaska and Russia, which was kind of frightening and challenging. So you're a serial entrepreneur, but also like you do love extreme sports. So what challenges you more? What's more frightening? Founding a new startup or doing something like kiting the Bering Strait?
I think it's very similar. Like every time I start a new company, I don't really know what I'm getting into.
Okay.
And I think it was the same when I decided to kite the Bering Strait. Because if I had known like how rough and cold and extreme it is, I would probably not have done it. So sometimes it's just good to go for an adventure and then see how it goes.
Is it the same for startups? Would you just say, we'll see how it's going, just like deep into it, and then how are the outcomes going to be?
I think so. Like if as a founder, like everybody here in the room knows, like you never know like what's really behind the surface. And from the outside, everything looks like shiny and glossy, but it's usually much harder.
Okay. So the title is 90-hour work week. So you're now doing SunshineSmile. What's your current workload? How many hours do you work?
I think, to be straight, I'm not working 90 hours. I think we all know, for me, like starting a company is like launching a rocket. I think all the energy is used in a takeoff, in the startup phase, in the launch phase. And I was thinking a lot about like finding balance. I started my first company when I was 14. Mm-hmm. I think I started 7 companies now, and we have been lucky. We had hired like hundreds of employees and raised several hundreds of millions in venture capital.
You sold Brands for Friends to eBay for 150 million euros.
We sold a few companies, and it's very stressful.
Yeah.
But for some reason, I have this entrepreneurial bug. I cannot stop.
Yeah.
I'm 45 now, and I still want to start another company and do more and more. But it's very stressful at the same time. So I've been thinking a lot about like how can I balance myself out so I'm not in just for like one venture and then I'm done.
Yeah.
And actually after we sold Brands for Friends, I took some time off and I did things that I usually didn't have the chance to. For example, I went to India and I dove into the Ayurvedic philosophy, which I think changed my life quite significantly because I learned how to meditate. I incorporated a daily yoga practice, and just like the art of living is something that I now have been incorporating in my daily life. So every day I meditate twice, 20 minutes in the morning and 20 minutes in the late afternoon. I practice what's called Transcendental Meditation.
What's that? It's
a very complicated name, but for me it's by far the easiest and most practical way to meditate. It's basically you get a mantra. Mm-hmm. It's a word that doesn't have any meaning, and it's like almost like an anchor that helps you to ground, to sink down from all the thoughts. So I close my eyes, I have like an alarm that has a gong at the beginning, and then 20 minutes later, and then I have 2 minutes to dive up. But the mantra helps me to dive down of my thoughts, and probably after like 3 or 4 minutes of thinking, I'm getting more and more grounded, and it feels almost like a mini vacation. So I do this, I have a mini vacation twice a day. Yeah. And they say 20 minutes of TM almost equals to 2 hours of sleep. And it gives you more energy afterwards. So I can highly recommend you guys to learn it. And it's really like a 4-day course, and then you have it for life. And
do you do anything else to calm down except meditating?
Yeah, so I believe, and that's kind of like a little bit what I learned also from the Ayurvedic philosophy. I believe in the 4 pillars of happiness, and I think they need all to be somewhat balanced. So the one is like health, and for me health is like eating clean and exercise, physical activity. And it's mindfulness and sleep and relaxation. I really watch a lot about my sleep. So I really try carefully to get 8 hours of sleep. I have this ring, it's an Aura ring. It's quite interesting. It shows you how deep you sleep, your sleep phases and the restfulness and so on. It's quite interesting. I can recommend you to try this also. I practice meditation. Then, like for example, I came here with a bicycle. I try to do everything on a bike, or like don't take any elevators.
Yeah, you told me you're doing all the like calls on the bike where you bike.
Yeah, I do my calls on a bike, or like I take walks and do the calls on my walks. I think another important pillar is obviously relationships, and not with many people, but with like few select people, and really embracing and celebrating them, and personal development. But if you're a startup founder, you always, I think that's something that we take care a lot, and we usually tend to neglect all the other pieces. But I think we're all in for the long run, and they say every overnight success of every like unicorn that became super famous, it usually takes 10 years. So it's not like, it's not a sprint, it's more like a marathon.
You also told me that you do kiteboarding, you actively do networking while you're doing sports, and you met some people.
Yeah, I mean, you know, we, in the old days, they said golf is kind of like a networking sport. I believe, like what I experience, more and more entrepreneurs start to kite surf. And like all the people that I know that love to kite surf, I immediately connect on a different level, because I know they appreciate nature. They are physically active, they're adventurous, and we organize different events. For example, with Richard Branson, I organized an event on Necker Island, on this island, where I invited all my kite surfing entrepreneurs, and it was amazing, because in the mornings we had talks, and then we also had like kite professionals that gave clinics during the day, and we did competitions, and every night we were partying, and that for 1 week. And that's really strong bonding experience. I think it's much better than like any kind of like networking event. So
would you recommend all the founders over here like doing some extreme sports, finding new people there, doing networking there?
I don't know. You know, if you're into it, like I highly recommend kite surfing, or like any experience, like mountain climbing, whatever, like hiking. I mean, anything, and just connecting with like-minded people, and then building deep relationships. Like, this is so important, I think. Maybe you don't need it immediately, but then I think like maybe there's not a need, but I think I meet so many amazing, inspirational people through all the activities that I do that give me a new energy and new drive to start something. And then we help each other out.
You told me you lived in New York for like 7 years. What's it like? Is it different in New York calming down than in a like smaller city than Berlin?
New York is extremely high energy, and it's fun if you're there for 2 weeks, but it gets kind of crazy after like week 4, and especially in a city like that, where like I think the average pace of movement is just like doubled in most other places. So I think, especially there, you really need to counterbalance everything you do by meditate, or like by all the things that I just mentioned.
But did you do any difference? Did you like meditate more often, or was it harder to meditate there, find space or something?
Yeah, funny enough, I mean, there's a lot of like urban meditation places and things like that, and then over there, it's so important to get out of the city on a regular basis, but there are like beautiful areas like in the Hamptons and Long Island, and in the winter the Caribbean. But it's super important to get out there.
Okay, so which life do you prefer more, over there in New York City or here in Berlin?
I came back to Europe for a reason. I think especially like I love being back in Berlin, and I see also like in the startup environment. First of all, like, you know, having started several companies in Europe and now also in the US, I can tell, I think we Europeans have a big competitive advantage, because I think we're maybe a little bit more like better executors than the US people. I think they're a little bit more visionaries and better talkers maybe, but in terms of execution power, I think the Germans specifically have a lot to bring to the table. And I think there are great examples, like HelloFresh started in Germany, and they basically blew Blue Apron, which is a US company, out of the water just because of pure execution power. And I think it's great to be based here, and I think as an advice for you entrepreneurs, don't be shy to go to the US. I think we as Europeans have a really strong competitive edge, and I can help you if you want. Okay, so you would prefer actually founding in Europe and then going to the US, than like starting? I think so. I'm actually looking at a few projects, and my idea is to get start at the hub to start like the basic infrastructure of a company, like all the IT and organizations, operations, and marketing here, and then go to the US rather quicker than later. But have like the main headquarter here and build like a sales team over there.
Is it easier to be in the US and finding investors than being in Europe and finding investors?
I think it used to be, but I think now like there's more and more US investors getting really excited about investments in Europe.
Okay.
I think raising money now is easy everywhere and more easy than it ever used to be. I think it's a perfect time to start a business and to raise money, and doesn't make a difference. And yes, I mean, the valuations might be still a little higher over there, but then just pick a US investor and say, get a term sheet, and then go to the Germans that you like and tell them, hey, here's a term sheet, match the valuation, please.
Okay. Good tip. Do we have any questions from the audience so far? Okay. Then let's talk about SunshineSmile for a bit. You started off with like 20 people, now you have 150 employees, like a year and a half later. So how can you draw a resume after the first year and a half? How many customers do you have? How's it going?
It's going really well. Yeah, we started last March, and we started four people. We were like 4 co-founders. And I think the success is mainly contributed to my 3 co-founders who are excellent operators. And yeah, I mean, what SunshineSmile does, we straighten teeth with invisible aligners at usually a fraction of what it used to cost, because there was a company called Invisalign. They owned all the patents, and they usually charge 5,000 euros for a treatment. And we charge 1,800, 1,900, or like 50 euros per month. So we want to democratize that, and it really works. We work with doctors, we have clinics, we have partner dentists and orthodontists, and it's basically 100% the same, but really like at a much more affordable price. And people, after 2 weeks, they see already first results. And I've been doing this. Actually, the reason why I started this because my fiance said, hey, when are you fixing your teeth? I was like, what the fuck are you talking about? I was wearing braces for 4 years when I was a teenager. She said, yeah, that must have been a long time ago because your teeth are crooked. And she was right, and I didn't know it. And then I got an offer from Invisalign for $8,000. And I was like, that's way too expensive. And we found a way to sort of like offer it at a much more affordable
Right,
rate.
now you're only in Germany, right?
Yeah, we're DACH for sure. Now we are expanding into few more.
Will you go into the US?
I was thinking about it. I'm actually still thinking about it.
Okay.
For the reasons I described earlier. Yeah.
Okay. Do you think you can actually be a opponent for all the US startups? Will it be possible to be a made in Germany startup and finding US customers over there?
I think it's possible. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I would. I think the made in Germany is probably more valuable in China than in the US. But again, like the same formula, like find like good operators here in the in Europe and strong sales teams in the US. I think that's could be. I mean, it's more competitive, for sure. But then we have a different competitive edge, I think.
Yeah. Then you also told me you've got new ideas in your head coming up, new projects. Do you want to talk about it, maybe?
Yeah, that's the problem with once you have this entrepreneurial bug, you can't stop.
Yeah.
So my goal is like to start more companies, and
so what's next?
I just love building things that ideally help people or help the environment. So I'm very passionate about healthcare and digital health on one hand side, and also on like clean energy projects. So I'm looking into 2 projects like that.
For the German market?
For German, and like it's similar, like starting in Germany and then very quickly scale into the US.
But you don't want to tell us more about it?
It's a little bit too early to talk about it, but I'm looking for co-founders. So if everybody here wants to start something with a veteran, almost gray hair entrepreneur and some good investors behind us, and
so you already got investors for the project?
Yeah, I usually put my own money, but then always, and I think that's very valuable. I think there are really great investors. Like for example, I love working with Holzbrink Ventures, and we have had a great history with Brands for Friends, and they've gone through like the good times and also the challenging times until exit. And we've built a really trustworthy relationship. I work closely with Lakestar, and we have like a pool. I think Sebastian Pollock is coming later. So we have a great pool of super value-add business angels and entrepreneurs here and US. I'm kind of close with Peter Thiel in the US. I worked with Kosler Ventures and First Round Capital, Forerunner Ventures. I think I have a really interesting, Richard Branson, like interesting group of inspiring people that also add some value other than just giving money.
How often do you meet Richard Branson now? Do you still go kiteboarding together?
Yeah, he's a really cool dude, I would say, like to me, like an inspiration because he's a great entrepreneur. He started more than 300 companies, but at the same time, he gives a lot of, he has a lot of activities of giving back. He has Virgin Unite. He's involved with the elders. He's very active with Ocean Conservatory. At the same time, he starts a cruise line, so I'm not sure how that matches the ocean saving story. But then he's just a fun-loving, great guy to have fun also with.
Does anyone have any questions now? Anyone have any tips how to calm down and organize their Founders Day? Okay. Yeah, Amina.
I was busy with my Insta story, but I have a question though. So you have quite of a vita. You've done many things, and you do all that clean eating and healthy living. I was asking myself, I don't know if you want to answer, how old are you?
I'm 45, turning 46.
Okay. because that's actually, everybody tells you, okay, you need to live healthy and eat clean and everything. And do you do cheat days?
Yeah, my theme in life is all about the balance.
Okay.
So I try to eat clean, and I practice sport like 6 times a week, maybe 7 times, and do the meditation stuff. But then soon I'm going to Burning Man, and it's not healthy there.
Okay. So you're not fanatic about it. You're really trying.
No, cheat days are super important, and I think everything that's too strict is not good. It's all about the balance. That's my.
What's your favorite trash food?
That's a good question. I don't know. I eat everything. Like if I'm up for it, like I do everything. But I would say 95% I eat clean.
Okay.
It just gives me also more energy. And also I started intermittent fasting. That's something I thought is impossible for me. And I do 16/8, so 16 hours of fasting, which is actually quite simple. I have my first meal at 10:30 in the morning, and my last meal at 6:30 p.m.
What time do you wake up, get up?
I get up like 6:30, 7.
Okay.
And it's actually not that difficult. And I just feel better. It gives me more energy because the body's not always digesting.
Yeah,
and it's not drained by...
I feel like everybody's doing it at the moment. Everybody's like, no,
Yeah, again, also there, like everything that's too strict is not good. So I have cheat days and...
Oh, good. That makes you even more sympathetic.
I went to 2 parties last weekend, and I definitely felt it until yesterday.
So are you staying here tonight because we're still having a band later in the evening?
Yeah, but I guess the party here is supposed to end about 10.
Well,
you don't even leave the house in Berlin before midnight or 1.
Okay.
But we have great clubs. What day is it? Wednesday. Yeah.
Berghain is still open, yeah. I've never been there.
You can try it.
Okay, thank you, Constantin. I guess you don't have any questions anymore. Oh, there's one in the back. There's one microphone coming on.
So I was curious, like since you were talking that your goal is also to create more and more companies, what do you base your decision on? Like what company and what project to take? Do you have like a internal for you framework that you use, check boxes? I don't know. Is it more feeling based? Do you check numbers? What is it for you?
Yeah. So for me, like I think my ultimate goal in life is to make a difference in the world. And I have even I was always thinking there's 2 ways. It's the Bill Gates model, earn a lot of money and power and then leverage it for causes, or find ventures where you can actually do something good and make money at the same time. So that's actually what I'm focusing, what I'm trying to find now, like doing something good with a really strong business model. And having started 6 companies, 7 companies, and invested in several, like for me, like the unit economics are key, right? I mean, you must have like really strong, like ideally high basket, high recurring revenue, like high margins, low churn. It shouldn't be too competitive, and for me, it has to have the potential to become a €1 billion business or multi-billion euro business. And timing, I think, is key. I mean, if you have a great idea, but the time is not ripe, then it's not good. Or if it's too late, it's not the right timing. And also for me, that like nowadays, it's all about it. Like similar as important as the idea is the team. And I only start a business if I have amazing AAA co-founders. And then, also it's a team, and then, you talk to investors and you see like how is the appetite from the investor side. I think they give you a lot of good indication also, is this something they can get excited about? Maybe not always the Germans, maybe you talk to the US people, they're a little bit sometimes faster in a few things. And if the US guys find it exciting, then the Germans will find it exciting. And also it helps if you have a model that's somewhere successful. I mean, it doesn't have to always to be the US, it can be Scandinavia. Like I think HelloFresh business model came out of Scandinavia. Or like one, Brands for Friends was basically inspired, you can call it copycat from Vente Privée out of France. But it helps if you have already like a success-proven business case like in another country.
Thank you so much. I just heard like the US people are faster. We need to get faster then. Thank you so much for that talk. Thank you, Lisa, for your questions. We finally have our next speaker microphones and ready for our next topic. So thanks to you guys.
Thank you.